Hey, welcome to Called Bank, and in this episode, we're going to talk about how Oklahoma City got shafted again, being not only the last team last season to have a game canceled due to COVID, but the first team this season to have a game canceled due to COVID, and to have absolutely no fault in either of them. So last night, the Rockets didn't have the 8 necessary players to actually go out and play a basketball game, and there's some moving parts to that we're going to get into here. But I mean, that just sucks for Oklahoma City, doesn't it?
It's on par for the Rockets, though. Ever since they hired Steven Silas, everything about probably even ever since they traded Chris Paul, everything about the Rockets has been drama. But it's rough for the players. I know, if you're a player and you're excited to play, and then you're just told last minute that you can't play anymore. That sucks. As far as the organization, it's not going to make a big difference, probably because they're still going to end up playing the game, and Oklahoma City probably just wants to forfeit this game and move on as far as the front office
just
goes.
Take the L.
Just get closer to that number one pick, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's on par for the Rockets. James Harden went to a dinner party, I guess, for a friend who got a promotion that was not following the guidelines. Maskless, indoor, close, just close, tight-knit gathering. And he tried to claim that he didn't think it was against the NBA rules, which I just don't believe. I believe that was another middle finger to the organization as a whole, just him wanting to get out. I think that ended up taking him off the roster. I think some other crap went down to take some more players off the roster. But I mean, if he was there, maybe they would have got to play. But overall, I just think it's indicative of what the Houston Rockets season will probably be. And maybe something can just click and they'll go off and Harden will decide he wants to stay. But I think it's just, they're halfway down the hill and it's only going to get worse before it bottoms out.
Yeah, and this was crazy that it happened so soon in the NBA season, because I think everyone felt like the NBA has learned from other sports who try to do this stuff, and they're trying to move forward, and they're hoping that they can really get all the games played as scheduled, limit the number of fans in the arena, or even have no fans in the arena. But this is something that we have to stay on our toes as fans. We might this could happen to anyone, especially with how few numbers are on each NBA team. One person, and how it is even if they don't test positive, but they were exposed, and then after that they had a team practice or something going on, then there's a chance that 8 of the players on the roster can't play, and so now you only have 7 people, so can't play. So this could come out of nowhere. I don't think the NBA wants to do a bubble for the whole season. That's definitely not up in the air at this point. But it's something that each NBA team really needs to make sure that they have their players, they understand the rules, understand the consequences, because I would hate to have a season where it's 25% of the games are getting canceled or postponed, and you just never know what to expect of the NBA. And we already have a shortened season, so I'm hoping we don't get too much more drama like this. I hope the rest of the league learns from this.
Yeah, since there's definitely 2 ways this can go from here, right? It can be a wake-up call for the rest of the teams, for the players, for them to make safe decisions, try to stay apart and things like that. Or it can lead to just this being what happens, where every other night there's a chance at a cancellation, and they're trying to postpone things and get things going, and you end up with a 60-game schedule, or heaven forbid a 50-game schedule, just due to COVID and cancellations. I wonder how they're going to do contact tracing, and if it's 7 negative tests in a row like they've done in the past until you can play, how long is Houston going to be out? We could see Houston not playing for another week. And if that's what happens, then I think that we're going to see maybe not a lot of players making bad decisions and things happening, or just not even player bad decision, just luck or bad luck, because getting COVID definitely isn't the lucky thing to happen, unless you want to forfeit your games like Oklahoma City might. So yeah, I sadly think that we're probably going to be seeing more of this for like the rest of the NBA season, especially how, like Adam Silver has said, NBA players, due to their age and health, are on the very low end of the spectrum for COVID vaccine priority. So I sadly think this will be indicative of things to come, but I really, really hope it's not.
The good news for the Jazz, though, are that they already went through all that drama and scare when Rudy Gobert shut down last season. So I'm sure the Jazz have realized the importance of this. They already went through it, so I don't think the Jazz are going to be culprits for much of this. But a possibility is a team that the Jazz face, something like that will happen, and I'm not looking like chances are if this continues, that will happen to the Jazz at some point. But hopefully, the NBA can figure it out and make sure that everyone's safe while still playing as many games as possible.
I wonder, due to the very low probability of getting COVID a second time, if Donovan and Rudy still have to follow the same procedures as everyone else based on contact tracing. They probably do for safety, but that's at least one positive of the Jazz canceling the season last year, more or less, is that hopefully Rudy and Donovan don't get it again. So if we are missing players due to COVID, it's not them, who are definitely like the centerpieces of the Jazz's offense. And for Gobert, the defense, like full stop, no questions asked.
Yeah, but since the Rockets started this all, and we were talking about Rockets drama, I don't think we've talked much about James Harden trade destinations. So I'd like to get a little bit into that. Like, how do you see this situation? When do you think James Harden will get traded? And if he does get traded, who do you think he'll get traded to?
Well, Ben Simmons should be traded for James Harden, full stop, no questions asked. Nothing's going to get done in Philly with Ben Simmons. He can't shoot the dang ball. And if he was putting up shots, I'd be like, okay, there's hope. Like this could like change, but he's not even putting up the shots. And so maybe that will change with Doc Rivers. And that's the hard thing. You don't want to ditch Ben Simmons right as you get a new coach to hopefully help Ben Simmons. But I think, especially with Joel Embiid's injury history, that it's hard enough up there. And I think that a Ben Simmons, James Harden swap, plus whatever you need to do to make it work cap-wise, is the best bet for James Harden to go somewhere where it would be a contender, and also to actually have a trade that kind of works. Everywhere else just doesn't make sense to me with all that you'd have to give up and all the depth that you'd lose to have James Harden go there.
Yeah, I agree. There's not many teams who are in the running for it. If it was like a Ben Simmons James Harden swap, if I was the Rockets, I'd take it. I don't know if I'd take it if I was the Sixers, because, and I may be a little too high on Ben Simmons, but he is 23 years old. He's just starting to show what his prime could be. Even if he doesn't have a jump shot, his defensive ability, he can defend positions 1 through 5. He is a very smart player with the ball in his hand, and he can get to the rim at will. And since a lot of teams they're guarding him with their 1 or 2 because he plays the point guard a lot, he just gets in the post and scores at will on them. So I think with the right coach and the right players around him, Ben Simmons can be one of the main stars in this league. And if that's true, then and you're the Sixers, then you're trading a 23-year-old who could eventually get to the same star power as James Harden, or James Harden, who's 31, who is at his peak. But how many more years of peak James Harden are you going to get?
So I just entirely disagree with you on maybe not on Ben Simmons' potential, but you just can't expect Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to be on the same team because, like we've talked about the concerns with Rudy and with Derek being down low and being on the court at the same time, when both what they do is score in the paint. So I feel like just because Joel Embiid needs to be your guy in the paint, that Ben Simmons paint scoring doesn't mean anything. And there's a reason that they don't put him on the court in the playoffs because they're just crowding the paint and it doesn't work. So I just don't. I guess my main takeaway is I don't think the Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons core will ever work. So if you can get someone as good as James Harden is right now, that's probably the best chance at a championship going to Philly. You are right that long term it would be awesome to have Ben Simmons be the face of the franchise, but I just don't ever see him being the number one on a championship team. He's the number 2 or the number 3. But it's really hard when he not only wants to have the ball in his hands and be the instigator, but he also just can't threaten from like 10 plus feet out. So and there's probably part of me that will always be overly critical of Ben Simmons because Donovan Mitchell, I think, should have got the Rookie of the Year award. But I do see the potential. I don't think Ben Simmons has any desire to improve. And that's harsh. I really just don't see a league where your point guard doesn't take a 3-pointer. Not can't make a 3-pointer, but literally doesn't take a 3-pointer.
And that's true. That's one knock on him, but even with Daryl Morey there, Daryl Morey has said that would he take, he doesn't like mid-range shots. He likes threes and he likes points in the paint. And so I agree that Ben Simmons can't work with Joel Embiid. And so I'm higher on Ben Simmons than I am with Embiid. So I would trade Embiid over Simmons, but I guess that's more the GM's call. Both of them have shown injury issues, and Embiid is definitely more polished as a player now. But maybe I am a little too high on Ben Simmons' potential. But
this has definitely been like a Utah Jazz view on the Houston Rockets, where we get to trash on them for like 7-8 minutes and then end it with trashing on Joel Embiid. Definitely very Utah Jazz-esque.
Yeah, well, as a Jazz, we have heat against, or we have beef against the Rockets, and we have a little bit of beef against Ben Simmons. But I guess I don't have as much beef because I wasn't really in America when that beef happened.
No, that's fair. I'd love to see Ben Simmons improve for the sake of the NBA, and I would love to see Philly be a contender. I think that their best chance for winning now, which considering how Joel just keeps deteriorating, would be getting James Harden and trying to win with Joel ASAP. So overall, I don't actually know if we're going to see a trade, just because I think the Rockets want more than anyone's willing to give, because it's so hard to trade for that contract since they want James Harden caliber in return. But James Harden wants out, so why would you give your best to get their best? So we'll see what happens. Overall, I don't think they're going to get something done by the trade deadline, and I just think that they're kind of going to implode overall. I just think the dysfunction in the organization has really come to a head these past couple weeks, and that it's going to be a really disrupting fall from grace for Houston and for James Harden. So, hey, thank you guys so much for watching. Please take a look down in the information for the episode and give us a follow on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're going to try to be posting a lot more as the season gets going. Have a great holiday, guys, and go Jazz.